Our moderator for this panel is Ross French. Ross, thank you for being here today. Really appreciate it. And
happy to be here.
I'm going to jump out of here. You guys have a great conversation.
All right.
If I see any comments, questions, I will put them in our chat here, and you will be able to answer questions. So have at it. We'll see you in about 25 minutes.
Sounds good.
Mr. Nelson, sir, thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
So the obligatory first question in pandemic world is, how are you? How's the family? What's going on?
Oh, what a loaded question. You know, the interesting thing is I'm kind of a homebody to begin with. So when we started off the lockdown, it wasn't that bad for me. It was just okay. Now I'm getting a little antsy. I miss coming to the conventions. I really do. I really miss being out there and meeting the fans and seeing all my friends that I see at these different conventions. So I hope a bunch of them are out there watching this right now.
Well, so how many cons a year were you doing?
1,000. 1,000. No, it was quite a few. Last year, I actually did more conventions than I had ever done. I think I did close to 50 different conventions.
So basically once every week you're going somewhere.
I was for a while. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, one on a Saturday and a different one on a Sunday, but you know, it just kind of worked out that way. So.
What do you remember about your visits to Stockton and because you live in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, I do. I live in the Bay Area. I live in the East Bay, and I love StocktonCon. StocktonCon is actually one of my very favorite shows anywhere I've been, anywhere in the world. It's just great people there and fantastic. What I really love is I love that the cosplayers really step up their game when you get to StocktonCon. You see so many interesting different variations and of different cosplays. I see a lot of mashups, which I really enjoy too. But there's also just a great lineup of guests, and it's just a great atmosphere. It's just fun. Every time I talk to somebody, you know, an actor or an artist or something who's been contacted about StocktonCon, I always say, come do the show. You're gonna love it.
Well, if you have questions, we have, I'm keeping an eye on the Facebook chat. So if you have a question, please feel free to chime in. But
if you have questions, I have ansers.
I'm sure you do. Let's start with the big one, the elephant in the room, the Darth Vader. You know, it's what everyone wants to know. And I've had the opportunity to be by your booth over the years.
Right.
And I'm sure you have answered this question 1,000 times.
That's fine.
But I'm just going to ask, how did you become Darth Vader? How did somebody knock on your door and say, hey, Andrew, we need a Darth Vader and you fit the costume?
It wasn't too far off from that. I happened to be at the right place at the right time at the right height. I was already working for LucasArts. I was a visual effects supervisor and senior artist at LucasArts for 6 years, and then moved over to Industrial Light and Magic and worked on the effects for the Star Wars prequels. But while I was at LucasArts, it was the summer of '94, and my phone rings, and it's the head of public relations, who was a lady who was upstairs from me. And she doesn't start the conversation out by saying hello or anything like that. She just says, hey, Andrew, how tall are you? I'm 6'5". Why do you ask? Well, she was 5'1". I figured she wanted me to just get something down off a shelf for her or something. So then she says, do you have any acting experience? And, you know, the wheels are kind of spinning in your head and you're trying to figure out where's this conversation going. And I let her know that, yeah, I'd had about 22 years of theater and film and television experience. And I let her know that. And then she says to me, can you breathe for me? And so you put the pieces together, and I leaned into my phone and I went like that. And I said, so what's this for? And she said they were looking for somebody to play Vader for a special charity event, for a meet and greet. You know, back before the 501st, I love the 501st. I'm very, you know, staunch honorary member of the 501st and the Rebel Legion. But before these guys, Lucasfilm would send guys like me out and do these personal appearances. And so they were looking for somebody to play Vader for a charity event for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. I tried on the costume, the real costume, and it fit. We did that one event, and I thought that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. That's never going to happen again. I just thank God I had a chance to do it. But then they called me back for something else, and I ended up playing Vader 70 times over 12 years for film, television, commercials, print, magazine covers, toy packaging, and live appearances.
And that makes you an answer to a trivia question of what character in the Star Wars universe has been played by the most actors.
I think, yeah, it's got to be. There's enough of us to make a ball team now.
I actually won a trivia contest with that question. I think it's because we've spoken at StocktonCon.
Yeah, probably, yes.
So I'm curious, you know, obviously you watch the original films, and,
Oh yeah.
and how much acting really goes into being Darth Vader when you were playing that role. I mean, you can't just throw on the costume and saunter around. There's a
Right.
certain
There's
gravitas to it.
there's a certain there's it depends on the situation. There are I like to say there are two different types of Vader depending on the thing that we're doing. Actually, maybe three different types of Vader. If the rules were that if we were doing something that took place in the Star Wars universe, then it had to be, you know, screen accurate. It had to be, I had to study the movements that Dave Prowse did, that Bob Anderson did, so that I could get that movement down and everything. And I mean, I've always been, as far as acting is concerned, going way back to my days in theater, is yeah, there's a certain amount that's always going to be coming to you from the script, and there's going to be what the director tells you, and there's going to be what you get in your own head and your own, you know, your own wisdom and everything. But I think the costume has a lot to do with it as well. And I've had costume designers tell me over the years that I love making costumes for you, whether it's, you know, period clothing or something like that. I love it because you wear it so well. It's like, I appreciate the clothing. I appreciate what goes into the making of the costume. But there's something about the costume that adds to the character. And certainly with Vader, there definitely is. It's a very uncomfortable costume. I mean, no costume is made for comfort, for film or anything like that. Doesn't even if it's just street clothes. It's not made for comfort, it's made for looks. But the Vader costume and all the Star Wars costumes are pretty darn uncomfortable. I have actual physical scars from playing Vader. I'm not going to show them to you, but let's just say the word chafing. So, but you know, so you get a certain amount from that. So some of the movement you get from the way that the weight of the costume, the way that it moves and sways as you turn around and everything. But yeah, I had to study the character. I had to study what came before me with Dave Prowse and Bob Anderson. So that would be what, if something took place in the Star Wars universe, whether it's something for the special edition or for the video games like Rebel Assault 2 or Dark Forces, or if it's a commercial or something that takes place in the Star Wars universe, you got to play it straight. But then there's another version, and I've done commercials for like Walmart and things like that, where you're in our world here on Earth, and then the characters can kind of ham it up and do something a little bit different. There was one commercial I shot for Walmart where it was when the trilogy, the original trilogy, came out on DVD for the first time, and it's about this couple, and they're talking about, you know, having the Star Wars original trilogy DVD and is just like having the characters in your home. And then there's Vader and Chewbacca in their house living with them. And so I'm doing silly things with them, and you know, and so you play it up and you do kind of a different version of the character then. And then if we're doing a live appearance, you're more like like I call it like a Disneyland character. So you pantomime things. You have the breathing playing, the breathing sound plays and everything, but you just pantomime stuff. And that's a little bit harder actually, because you can't vocalize anything, and it makes it, but you still have to interact with people. So those are the three different Vaders. But yeah, I definitely had to pull stuff from what I had seen from the films.
I think people sometimes don't realize that when you're in a costume, regardless of what it is, you're actually emoting with your face, even though no one can see it. You're straining and you're doing different things.
Oh, and you're delivering dialogue too.
Right,
you have to have dialogue for the timing for the other actors, even if you know your voice is going to be dubbed over. You still have to deliver the dialogue with intention. You know, I'm delivering the dialogue as if I was going to be the final voice, but you know, even though I know I'm not.
So if I can put you on the spot, is there something you can name, like something that somebody might be able to see if they're watching a film, or watching one of the games, or see something that they can say, oh, that's a Darth Vader move?
Yeah, actually, I can tell you one from the game Rebel Assault 2, which is kind of cool. There's a shot right after one of my admirals has disappointed me for the last time, and I've you know, given them the force choke, and he's dropped to the ground. There's a shot where I'm sort of still speaking to his lifeless body, and I turn away and walk. And there's a certain thing, when you turn, you lead with your shoulders, and the cape follows, and it does this beautiful turn. And it's something I had to kind of practice, because it's not the normal way that we would turn. When we turn to leave, we usually turn with our feet like that. But as Vader, I would turn with my shoulders in order to get it going, to get that cape swishing. And Hal Barwood, who was one of George Lucas's old USC Film School buddies, and Hal Barwood, and he was one of the co-writers and of Dragon Slayer and Corvette Summer, what Mark Hamill's film right after Star Wars, and he was directing the live action stuff for Rebel Assault 2, and he just was like, "Oh my gosh, that is so Vader! That is so Vader!" He was like, he became a little kid. It was funny. So yeah, that's kind of that's a very Vader move. So
that's something that's like in Jedi and Sith training school, right? They teach you to turn.
There you go. Yes, you got to turn with the shoulders.
I do want to say, if you have questions, if you're listening, you have questions, go ahead and post them on Facebook, and we'll call.
Feed me your questions.
I will say, there's one comment so far that I just see that I love, that it's just, it's C. Andrew Nelson. I don't know if that's the Wilhelm scream, maybe like
I guess so. Yeah, maybe it's like a Jawa scream or like a Ewok or something.
Whatever it is.
Who said that? Who was the comment?
That's Samuel Dubois. Or Dubois.
Aye to you too.
So I'm curious. So Star Wars is everywhere. It's on TV. It's on video. It's all behind you. When you're watching something, has it ever been a moment where like you watch Darth Vader go by and you're like, wait, that's me?
Well, usually I know whether it's me or not. It's like, but there have been times where it's like, I'll go through, because they're still using photos of me on different packaging for toys and things like that. So occasionally I'll walk through Target and I'll see something, in the toy section. It's like, oh, there's me on that. So yeah, it's funny. There was a time right around, I say like 96, 97, when the special edition came out, where it's like, I couldn't go anywhere without seeing pictures of me as Vader or footage of me as Vader for some kind of promotional thing. And that was kind of interesting and odd. So
Jared Ivey says that he's just in awe getting to hear from you. So that's kind of cool. Let's talk a little bit about the other things you did. Yes. Because I see Galaxy Quest behind you. I see the Clapper board, a bunch of other stuff. So talk a little bit about your career other than Darth Vader, because while that's been a big part of your life, obviously, that's not all you do.
No, it's not all I do. Besides being an actor, I'm also a visual effects artist and animator. Like I mentioned, I spent 6 years at LucasArts helping design and create games there. And then I transferred over to Industrial Light and Magic, and I worked on the effects for the Star Wars prequels and films like Galaxy Quest and Jurassic Park 3 and Perfect Storm and Rocky and Bullwinkle and a bunch of others. I went on from there to teach at the Academy of Art University, where I ran the visual effects department there, and taught a full slate of classes. And also a lot of my students, actually, I worked on the effects for Episode 1 and Episode 2 of Star Wars. My students ended up working on Episode 3. So as Vader would say, the circle is now complete. I did that for about 2.5 years, and then became a freelance visual effects and animation consultant, working for Disney and Fox and Nickelodeon and MTV and Hasbro Interactive and EA and a bunch of other companies too. So yeah, so I do a lot of different things. I also do voice acting. In fact, I did Luke Skywalker's voice for several LucasArts games.
Which you are the only person to have done both Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker.
That's what they tell me, yes. I am my own father, or my own son. So
talk a little bit about how that field has changed. Because when the first trilogy, the prequels, they were groundbreaking.
Yes.
But the things that were done in Episode 1 by Episode 3 were antiquated. And the things that were done since then have, it's been a complete game changer. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about visual effects is it used to be that things would change like every 10 years. Then it became like things would drastically change every 8 years or every 5 years or every 3 years. And now it's like it's changing constantly. But the interesting thing also is that we're coming back to some older techniques. A lot of, for a while, everybody thought that CG was like the thing. That's it. It was going to sink practical effects, and we weren't going to be using practical effects anymore. And I talked to my friends over at 3210 Studios, which is what used to be the old ILM model shop. They're busy. I mean, not as busy as they were once, before the pandemic started, but they're busy. They're still working. So there's a marrying of old techniques and new techniques. But yeah, things change, and I know from just from going from what we did on Phantom Menace, when we went from that to Attack of the Clones. First of all, Phantom Menace was all shot on film except for one sequence, which was shot digital, which was a sort of a test, and that's the whole little testing the midi-chlorians scene with Qui-Gon and Anakin. That was shot digitally. And if you look carefully, it looks a little bit different too. Episode 2 was shot entirely digitally, and that was a learning curve. It made it part of it made it easier for us, and part of it made it harder for us because it was weird artifacting with all the blue screen stuff that was things that were showing up in the blue channel that just didn't, it just made things kind of go wonky, and we had to kind of figure that out. But every time you think, it's like when we were working on Phantom Menace, we pulled a rabbit out of the hat for George, because George, he was pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope and changing his mind. In fact, for all the Star Wars prequels, there was time budgeted into each one for George to change his mind and redo whole scenes and change things around and reshoot stuff and have us redo backgrounds and things like that, remove whole characters from shots, replace them with someone else, that kind of thing, because he had changed his mind. And we really pulled a rabbit out of the hat for that. And I told everybody, you watch, it's going to get harder on the next films that we work on, whether they're Star Wars or something else, because if we did this well on this one, George and all his filmmaker buddies and everybody else is going to try to push the envelope even more and try to save everything in post. That used to be a joke, back in the old days of Hollywood. If something went wrong on set, you'd say, well, we'll fix it in post. And it was kind of a joke because you find some way to fudge it. It's not a joke anymore. You can literally fix anything in post. Somebody challenged me about that once. They said, well, you can't fix an acting performance in post. Yes, you can. You can. If you have enough time, enough resources, and enough money, you can fix even an acting performance. There were things like on Phantom Menace where Natalie Portman, who's supposed to be, Queen Amidala and this very important, confident person, she had a tendency to blink a lot. And I'm exaggerating right now, but she blinked a lot during these, her takes. So that doesn't make you look confident if you're blinking all the time. You look nervous. So we went in and painted out all our eye blinks. Jake Lloyd, who I thought was wonderful, and he's a great guy. But he would roll his eyes every so often, and George didn't like it. And so we removed the eye rolls. So you can change the performance. You can take, if one actor has their best performance on take number 7 and somebody else has their best performance on take number 12, well, you can just slice and dice and put them together in post-production. And then that's how you fix the acting performance. So you can literally fix anything now in post if you have the time, the money, and the resources.
Well, and the things that were done with Carrie Fisher,
Yep.
in the ninth film,
Oh yeah, and also just going from look what from going from Rogue One, when we have Carrie's likeness in there, and also you've got Guy Henry as Tarkin, and Guy's a great guy, fantastic guy. Just did a convention with him recently, back in before the pandemic started, and that was breaking, cutting edge kind of stuff right then, and passé a year later. And now look at we got deep fakes on YouTube that are even better than that now. It's amazing. So.
Well, people going in and fixing Zack Snyder's Superman, and the Superman mustache and all that good stuff.
And now we could actually do that even better. So. Oh, that was horrible.
But that's only your professional opinion, right?
Yeah, that's my professional opinion. It looks like he's got stuff stuck underneath his gum or something.
So we have just a couple people saying thanks for being on and all that. What are you working on now? Is there anything you can be doing during the pandemic?
I am working on something. I'm working on a very interesting project. In fact, one of the guests that's going to be here for StocktonCon tomorrow, Mary Gibbs, who was the voice of Boo in Monsters, Inc., she and I are working on a project together, a project that Jerry Cornell of Theme Parkology, he and I are producing this. It is an audio drama called Heroes of Extinction. And it's a wonderful audio drama, a superhero story that's unlike anything that I've come across before. And we've got a fantastic voice cast that we just finished casting on that. We've started recording the first episode of it, and it's really phenomenal. Samantha Albin is the writer of it. She took the idea that Jerry had and is delivering these scripts that we get them, and we're like, they're such page turners that we're like, okay, when's the next script? When's the next script? It's that good. But we've got a wonderful voice cast. I will be the narrator for that, and I'm also going to, and as I said, I'm the co-producer on it, and I'm also going to be doing a lot of incidental voices for it as well. So that's one project that I'm working on. And then I've got some other things in development that I can't quite talk about yet. But one of them is an animated series that is going to be a fun comedic animated series that is also superhero related, but nothing like you've ever seen before. and it's very satirical and humorous. And I'm also got a screenplay that I'm doing another draft on that we are going to try to get produced as well. So it's something I've worked on for a while, and it's an adaptation of a book that I've had the rights to for a while, and we're going to see if we can finally get that made.
So you don't want to break any NDAs today. It's not.
No, not yet.
So here,
and then I've got my YouTube channel, which is Aquatasy, AQUATASY, which is all about tropical fish, because that's the hobby that keeps me sane, keeps me from going bonkers.
I think we see some behind you, right?
What? Yes.
Right behind you.
I have a tank behind me. It's in sad shape. That one needs to be redone. But I've got another one over here, another one down there, more in the house. As many as my wife will let me have. So, yes, I suffer from MTS, multiple tank syndrome.
So Heroes of Extinction.
Heroes of Extinction.
Is that
you can find it? It's going to be streaming on the internet. You can actually find it on. If you go to themeparkology.com, themeparkology.com, you can find out all about that. And in fact, we'll probably have the first episode when it's done. We'll probably have the first episode up there, right away. But there's some other things too. There's a production called Dark Park, which is another audio drama that will be there as well that I've done voices for and helped on that. So
I'm just curious though, in the pandemic world, has that changed the voiceover style? Because I mean, oftentimes I know you guys are in booths by yourself, but sometimes it's better to go and be able to talk to or have your fellow actor in the room. How is that working in the pandemic?
It's about the same, except we're like the masters of social distancing now, because now we're really social distancing. A lot of us record from home anyway, or at least have the ability to record from home. And I've talked to a lot of my fellow voice actors and some who have actually been guests at StocktonCon before. I was chatting with Julie Dolan, who's the voice of Princess Leia, and she's now set up a home recording studio as well. And so a lot of us record from home, but it's always best if we can have a producer's voice in our ear, so we can get some direction, so they can hear us and we can hear them. That's always the best, because that's the same as like being in the booth with them in person almost. So the voice work is something that's able to continue on. A lot of the visual effects and animation kind of shut down, and certainly production shut down almost completely, and even distribution and stuff. You look at the distribution channels that are changing now. You've got movies like Mulan that was supposed to be in theaters and is now going to Disney Plus. So,
right.
Yeah.
We have one question, so we're going to go back over. Sal Manila would like to know where can we find those audio dramas? So if you want to just go over your stuff one more time.
You can go to themeparkology.com. So it's theme parkology, like biology, geology, themeparkology, all one word, .com. And you can find out all about that there. You can also go to, I'm going to post some information about it. You can go to my website, which is candrewnelson.com. And in fact, I can't sit at a table and sign autographs from people here, but if you go to my website, you can actually get some there. There's a group called Charitable Stars that is the official outlet for C. Andrew Nelson, on eBay, and you can find some of the stuff there. But I'll also be setting it up so if people want to order something, and this also benefits the Starlight Children's Foundation. So every time I do signings or anything like that, it helps to benefit the Starlight Children's Foundation. So you'll be able to go to candrewnelson.com, go to the store, and you can order something there, and I can personalize it and all that fun stuff for you. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm the only C. Andrew Nelson that I know of on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, C. Andrew Nelson on Instagram, and on Twitter, which I'm very seldom on. I'm C_Andrew_Nelson on Twitter, because some guy has it without the underscores. He's down in Australia. He's not using it, and he won't give it up.
So I have to ask, what's the C stand for?
It's the third answer on a multiple choice question. C. Andrew Nelson, final answer. No,
excellent. I like that.
Stands for Charles.
I will say I love your website. My day job, I work on websites, and
Thank you.
When I went to your website and I started moving, it moves around. So if nothing else, go to his website, candrewnelson.com, and just move around his
Wiggle the
homepage.
mouse around on the main page. Yeah.
It's like, I want to figure out how he did that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
I'm just looking, I don't see any more questions, and we're kind of getting towards the end, but
Sure.
Anything else, any more shout outs, anything you want to say, do?
Like I said, if you want, come on over to the Quadacy channel on YouTube. I post gonna have some new videos coming up probably next week. Next Friday there'll be a new video. It's an interesting thing. It's like I take my love of fish tanks and all that sort of thing, which, like I said, keeps me from going bonkers, and I apply everything that I know of visual effects and animation and games and acting and comedy and that sort of thing, all to that. So I have sassy back talking fish. They're horrible. You don't have to live with them. I do. So check that out. And hopefully all of this will be over soon, eventually, and we can all get together for real. But I appreciate everybody jumping in here today to say hi. And blessings to you all.
Well, I got to say, Mike mentioned it at the top, but you are, if Mike Millick is the mayor of StocktonCon, you're certainly on the city council as someone who's been there so many times, very popular guest. And it's just, I've had a few opportunities to chat with you over the years, and you're just always a gentleman and courteous and kind to everybody. So, Andrew Nelson, thank you for being here at StocktonCon online, and we look forward to being able to see you in person and shake your hand and take a picture with you.
Thank you. The force is strong with you.
The force, and I had your buddy right here with me the whole time, just in case.
Excellent. All right, I got my bobblehead version. Wow.
All right. So I think that's it for now, and I'm not sure what the next panel is, but Mike will be on here in a moment to let us know.
Okay.